Sure, she'll have to start at 10:30, right? Oh, I see. That's 5 more
Say
minutes.
like a real New Jersey person talking to a Texan.
This feels like summer today.
Well, let's look at photos and see if does it look press conference like.
I'm like,
Whoa, what do you mean?
it's fine.
I like it. Women.
But it's just like,
What's the degrees in Texas?
because wouldn't it be better if it was like
like
looking
summer?
like
Oh,
a
right.
press conference? That's why I was thinking if Teresa speaks, we could even just. Oh, the sun's coming out. I think
True.
4
I was
minutes.
just reading some news on that. Yeah. 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 That's what we gotta do. On repeat.
You want to step back, please?
Yeah. We are. That is true.
Hello, everyone. This is Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury, and I'm here with Congresswoman Teresa Fernandez, and we are the two women Congresswomen of New Mexico, and we are here with Linda Sunstone.
You had your little list.
CEO
I have my speech.
our amazing clinic in Albuquerque that serves our indigenous community.
Sounds like my life.
I'd say, I'm like, oh, this is it.
We got to do that because you got to believe that, right?
Yeah,
you got to put it in there. You know,
That's good.
you know. I just feel like
Very affirming.
we can. You can. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out of work right now.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I need you for. That's how that is. That's how the end of this sentence goes.
And we're talking about thousands of New Mexicans. We're talking about New Mexicans who go to this clinic, who get opioid addiction, who are unhoused, families in need. And Congresswoman Linda Fernandez is the women at the Women's Hospital Reform what your heart is saying about these
Say like a true AKA.
Which pays for at least half of
It has to be sex before I can start eating again.
in our Native American
And I got lip gloss on.
every corner of the country hears about the hardship that the Republic
because it is a color passion
are doing to our
we are passionate
and you
about
working
stopping these devastating cuts
for coming
to
we are here
women
in
and
protest of
families
a protest
this
of a budget that would put our community family lives at risk.
we must fight together. We must make sure our lives are heard and that every all the way to Capitol Hill.
Get our their vice chair. Thank you so much.
New Mexico.
Oh, is that New Mexico? Okay, I think it's just
No,
New
no, no,
Mexico.
no, no.
Yeah.
They said, wait.
Okay.
Come on, everybody. Come on. That is how we started. Yeah, we're ready to go.
I'm here with that.
All right.
Sorry, I was talking. That's what I get.
We'll start at 10:30, and so we're ready.
Yeah, we should get started.
Okay.
Women on time. Yeah. Button. Who's got the buttons? Lizzie, could we get some buttons passed out, please? Buttons passed out?
I knew you guys doing it, that's why I see.
Ooh, I like that. So what I'm going to do is I will go to the two chairs and then we'll go to the quick class. Okay. Okay. And do we know if she's young?
I haven't heard back yet.
With magnets. That's great. Yeah.
Anybody else for a button?
She's supposed to be, we're supposed to start at 10:30, so this is us starting at time. And the problem is everybody has such tight schedules, which is why what happened with the. Okay.
Anyone else for
Where did we lose Nakima to?
Do we want to wait the 2 minutes? We'll just go the other way. Okay.
The original, or what you just said.
Yeah. So,
Ooh, that boy put my purse down.
I'm going to go to you,
Okay.
and then if Clark is here, you go to not go to Hillary.
Okay.
And then Hillary can go to.
Okay.
So I'll
No.
go to,
I can hold this and just speak in. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you. Okay.
I'll go to Rick and Susan.
Okay, I'll see you.
The whip's not here.
Yeah.
She'll go to you. Or
Okay.
So whoever is
Fantastic.
next when she gets here.
Great.
Sound
Sounds good.
And then there's just a few of us. I am the one if anybody wants to.
Yeah, it's fine.
Really? Okay. Yeah,
I
okay.
did, but
Why you
it's
focus-
fine. I'll remember.
Shout it out.
Oh.
I am here.
I know.
Yeah,
You
well,
keep us together.
yeah,
We
thank goodness for
appreciate
your input.
Good morning, good morning. Bienvenidas a todos. I'm Congresswoman Teresa Fernandez, and I have the great joy and honor of being chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus, 96 strong, a historic number this year.
Yay!
And you know what? We're here to say women cannot afford Trump. He costs us too much in terms of money, health, lives, and safety. We cannot afford to have 40% of the newborn infants at risk of health complications because their pregnant mommies lost Medicaid coverage. We cannot afford the increased cost of groceries, gas, and housing when Trump decides to declare war on our allies, Canada and Mexico. We cannot afford him stealing our reproductive health care rights and taking away our decision to make a family when we choose and how we choose. We cannot afford the discrimination. We cannot afford the discrimination he is unleashing against women everywhere, from firing admirals at the Coast Guard to cutting women's health research and slashing programs to combat violence against women. These are not woke programs. These programs affect over half of our population. Damn it, respect women. Discrimination and violence against women should be condemned by everyone. Republicans and Democrats alike. We cannot afford the increased child care cost when he cuts Head Start and the Department of Education. We cannot afford to take care of our grandmothers and our parents when they cut the programs that pay for their nursing home care. From cradle to old age, this man and the Republican agenda is devastating for America's women. We want the world to know we stand in protest, we stand in power, we stand in pink, and we stand in opposition, don't we, mujeres?
Yeah!
We want to remind everyone that it only takes three. It only takes three members of the Republicans in the House of Representatives who are willing to show up at a town hall, who are willing to answer for the cuts they are doing, who are willing to stand with their constituents and not with these horrible cuts that affect women everywhere. Stand with your women constituents, stand with your women voters. We are.
Stand with women.
Stand with women.
Stand with women.
So I'm going to turn the program over right now to my amazing vice chair because we have lots of voices of protest about what Trump is doing to the women of America across America. Emilia Sykes.
Yeah. Woo!
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to all of you for joining us today because we want to make sure our message is very clear.
Women cannot afford these policies, and women cannot afford this presidency. I want to thank all of the members of the Democratic Women's Caucus for being here, for joining us and having such a strong showing of what it means to stand up for the American women. My name is Amelia Sykes, and I proudly represent Ohio's 13th Congressional District. And as you heard from Chair Lega Fernandez, we cannot afford Donald Trump's policies. Now, we always talk about how we are willing to work with anyone, anywhere, anytime, and the case is still true. But as we have heard over and over and over again, the cuts are going to be dramatic, and their impacts are going to hit women the hardest. For example, last week there was a House Republican budget resolution that demanded an $880 billion cut to the Energy and Commerce Committee. And I like to remind people, write down $880 billion and see how many zeros and commas you end up writing.
That's right.
That means there must be cuts to the Medicaid program. The Medicaid program that makes sure that women, pregnant women, children, the disabled, our grandmothers have access to the health care they need when they need it the most. And for example, in my district, Ohio's 13th congressional district, Medicaid covers over 40% of the births in our district. 40% of the births. And let us not forget about, we love the babies, but the women who deliver those babies are also offered coverage under Medicaid.
That's right.
In Ohio's 13th congressional district, more than 200,000 people on Medicaid are at risk of losing their health care because of this Republican budget resolution. This is 83,000 children and nearly 18,000 seniors. And while a majority of the people in my district voted for the president, they did not vote to get their grandmothers kicked out of the nursing homes.
That's right.
But I would be remiss if I did not say, while Medicaid coverage is obviously a huge issue and we care about the health care that people are able to access or not access, in my district, the largest employer are health care systems. They are being paid by the Medicaid program to help employ doctors and nurses and food service individuals and sanitarians. These jobs are going to be on the line if the $880 billion cuts go into effect like the Republicans want. So it is not just about the health care. It is about the local economy in Ohio's 13th district that will be decimated if this plan goes through, and people will be laid off all over Ohio's 13th district because of this cruel cut. We cannot afford these policies. Any cuts to Medicaid will have far-reaching effects, and we will see that devastation for many years to come. As I conclude my remarks, and before I hand the program over to my capable and competent and caring co-chair, Hillary Skolton from Michigan, I want to invoke Sojourner Truth. You may recall she gave a little speech called Ain't I a Woman, and she happened to give that speech in Ohio's 13th congressional district in my hometown of Akron. And at the very end of that speech, she reminded us, and I'm going to remind all of you and my colleagues to keep us encouraged in this time. She said, if the first woman that God ever made was strong enough to turn this world upside down, then all of these women together ought to be able to get it right side up again. That is exactly what we are going to do. Invoking the spirit of Sojourner Truth, we are going to get this world back upside again, because we cannot afford these policies, and that is why we are going to fight every single day on behalf of the American people. So please join me in welcoming Hillary Skolton of the great state of Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Amelia. It is such an honor to lead this caucus with you and our incredible chair, Teresa Fernandez, at this time for women in our history. Congresswoman Hillary Skolton, proudly representing Michigan's 3rd congressional district, the first woman and mother in history to represent the entire western half of our state in Congress. Tonight, Donald Trump will stand before Congress in the People's House and deliver his vision for our country. Behind the slogans and empty promises, his agenda is one that will devastate women and families across America. And nowhere is that clearer than in his and the House Republicans' relentless efforts to rip health care away from millions of Americans. They tried to come for Medicare. It fell flat. They tried to come for the Affordable Care Act. It fell flat, just like that sign. And now they're coming for Medicaid. Medicaid is a lifeline for millions of Americans. In Michigan, it provides health coverage for 2.3 million people, nearly a quarter of our state. That includes nearly 40% of all children and 1 in 3 moms and newborns. Medicaid is the backbone of our health system, and Trump wants to rip it away. If Trump and House Republicans get their way, Michigan families will be left making impossible choices. Moms will be forced to choose between paying their rent and putting food on the table or their children's life-saving medications. Parents, like a mother in my district I recently spoke with whose 2 young daughters were born with congenital cataracts and glaucoma, will be left wondering whether they can afford the life-changing treatments that keep their children from going blind. No mother should ever have to put a price tag on their child's future, but that is exactly what Trump and House Republicans are pushing. Listen carefully. Listen carefully to what they're saying tonight. They'll say things like, the budget proposal doesn't mention Medicaid once, but what they are not saying, and they could say, is that they will protect Medicaid, because they have no intention of doing that. And what they will do is rip it away. Let's be honest about who gets hit hardest. Women. Whether it's a new mother who needs postpartum care, a woman managing a chronic condition, or a family caregiver trying to keep her aging parents safe and healthy. These cuts are a direct attack on women's health and economic security. Trump and House Republicans are trying to disguise these cuts as fiscal responsibility. But slashing health care for children, seniors, and working families isn't responsible, it's cruel. It's an assault on the dignity and well-being of the 18 million women and 40 million children who rely on Medicaid across the country, and we will not stand for it. The Democratic Women's Caucus will keep fighting for every family, every child, every mother who depends on Medicaid. We will fight against these reckless, heartless cuts, and we will never stop fighting to ensure that healthcare is a right, not a privilege, for every American. We have no greater champion in this fight than the fearless leader of our caucus, our Democratic whip, Katherine Clark.
Woo! Woo! Thank you, Hillary. I am so thrilled to be here with the Democratic Women's Caucus. We are a powerful voice for women across this country and for families at home. So we are 6 weeks in to the Republican trifecta. They control the House, the Senate, the White House. They have the power to deliver for whoever they want to. And who have they chosen to fight for? The billionaire class, the ultra-rich donors who funded their campaigns. Billionaires who have virtually unlimited resources, but still want more. And where is this money coming from? For tax cuts for the ultra-rich, from sick children. Elon Musk makes more in one day than NIH spends all year on childhood cancer research. More in one day, but that hasn't stopped him from stripping out and defunding that research, or cutting children's health care, or slashing their school budgets, or taking away school lunches, or going after Social Security and Medicare. And the House GOP is falling in line, following orders and letting him do it, because they aren't going to feel the consequences personally. We all are about cutting waste and making our government work more efficiently for people. We just disagree that the waste here are kids who have been diagnosed with cancer.
That's right.
There are few nightmares that I can imagine more terrible than learning your child has a serious diagnosis. What a heartless act of cruelty to tell a mom that her government is now defining the research her child needs to survive as waste and inefficiency. That's what Republicans have chosen to do. It is America's most vulnerable, our kids, who are going to pay the price. And I am joined by a constituent who knows this far too well. Sarah Robowski, we are so grateful for you coming today, sharing your journey, telling us about your son Declan and the fight you're in. Thank you for being here. Please welcome Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Good morning. My name is Sarah Robleski, and I am here today as the mom of the bravest 4-year-old you'll ever meet, my son Declan. He's right here. In August of 2023, after weeks of headaches, an MRI revealed a golf ball-sized tumor in the back of his brain. Declan was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. In an instant, our world became numb. Declan received 6 intense rounds of high-dose chemotherapy and 3 stem cell transplants over a period of months. The treatment was excruciating. It was toxic. It left him with significant impairments, from hearing loss to brain damage, but Declan never stopped fighting, and it worked for now. Declan's doctors, though, tell us his cancer is the kind that comes back, and it always comes back. 9 months post-treatment, Declan is part of a new clinical trial now, and his scans continue to be clear, nothing short of remarkable. When your child is diagnosed with cancer, you know the road will be challenging, and our family was prepared for a lot. But I never imagined that I would be asked to come here to Washington to beg our government to do right by our kids. I am here on behalf of all the parents right now who are sitting in hospital rooms with their children.